Damian Lillard was once a kid growing up in one of the most dangerous cities in America. He was a two-star recruit who no one thought had any chance to make the NBA. He was a high school senior who found himself on a sidewalk with a gun pressed against his head. One pull of a trigger away from total darkness. But somehow, some way, he's now an NBA All-Star, a franchise player with a max contract. And today, guys, we're going to talk about how that was possible. I'm going to tell you the rough details of Damian Lillard's childhood. We're going to look at how he willed himself into becoming an NBA All-Star, and I'm going to tell you the reason why Dame wears the number 0. So I hope you guys are having an awesome day. If you don't know, my name is Mike, and I'm happy to say that this video is sponsored by SeatGeek, so make sure to stick around until the end of the video to find out how you can get $20 off a SeatGeek purchase. And now, here is the story of Damian Lillard. When was the first time someone doubted you? That's a question most people would find hard to answer, but that's not the case for Damian Lillard. Almost as if the memory is burned into the back of his head, Dame can easily bring up the time that as a bench player on his 8-year-old Pee-wee football team, he was only allowed to play 6 plays a game and thus was doubted. And now, some of you might find it weird that Damian Lillard, NBA star, can bring up this memory so easily. But the thing is, this really should be no surprise, because Damian Lillard has been doubted his entire life. And it's because of those doubts that Damian Lillard became the player that he is today. Now, of course, becoming a star in the NBA was not easy, especially when you consider the cards that a young Dame was dealt. He grew up in Oakland, California, known as one of the most dangerous cities in America, and as a child, he was always one of the smallest kids in his age group. But while some may have found it impossible to overcome these obstacles, Damian was of another breed. Instead of letting these disadvantages ruin his life, he turned them into his greatest strengths. Because he lived in such a rough neighborhood, Dame had to be tough. Each and every day, he would encounter the types of people who could smell fear from a mile away, so he couldn't afford to be afraid. And that's not to say that his childhood still did not have its dark moments. Dame has talked about getting jumped, punched in the face, beat up for his money, but every time something like this happened, he would go down fighting. And luckily, this instinct to never give in soon translated to the basketball court. Every day during his childhood summers, Dame could be found at the local gym, where the owner would find him outside the door at 9 a.m. and where the owner would watch him leave sometimes as late as 7 p.m. at night. It was there that Dame first began to play against grown men who would toss the short Dame down on the court whenever he got in their way. But he always got back up, because as Dame puts it, I'm not scared of nobody. I think that's the main thing. I don't fear people. And because he was never afraid of a challenge, Dame began to grow as a player. Soon he was starting as a 5'5" freshman at Arroyo High School and playing against suburban competition. Damian was certainly a star on the court, but his toughness and trash talk were a problem for the more suburban parents. So Dame transferred to St. Joseph's, Jason Kidd's alma mater. But somehow Dame rode the bench as a sophomore. Yet another time in his life he was doubted. Finally though, he made his way to Oakland High School, where he became a star. As a senior, he would average over 22 points per game, but somehow no one took notice. On the AAU circuit, he was overlooked. The local Oakland Soldiers, a powerhouse AAU program that once had LeBron James on its roster, were not at all interested in Dame. Instead, they chose Brandon Jennings as their point guard, and Dame was forced to play for the Oakland Rebels, which just happened to be the best thing that could have possibly happened to him. Because playing for the Rebels, the chip on his shoulder grew even bigger, and because the Soldiers were led by 5-star recruit Brandon Jennings, Dame now had a new goal to work towards: to become better than Brandon Jennings ever was. And so Oakland Rebels coach Raymond Young put Dame to work. The team's practices consisted of non non-stop running in gyms with no air conditioning, and defensive drills that included players carrying dirty bricks with bugs on them as they did defensive slides. But Dame never complained. He knew that if he wanted to be great, this was the price. And as his AAU coach said, Damian's the kind of guy that, when he's doubted, there's some kind of fire inside him that makes him out to prove you wrong. This fire is Damian Lillard's greatest strength. It's fueled him to become the player he is today. But that's not to say that this fire did not have its drawbacks. Because one night after practice his senior year, Damian was waiting for the bus when 3 thugs walked up behind him. They demanded that Dame give them his money, but Damian instantly went into fight mode. He threw a punch and instantly found himself on the ground, a gun placed on his head. His life could have ended right there, but it didn't. The thugs just took his money and ran off. Still though, this moment would always stick with Dame. It was a moment of pure helplessness. It was a feeling that he never wanted to experience again. And so Dame finished up his senior year of high school as a 2-star recruit. At this point, no one thought he was a future pro. But one man, Randy Ray, and one program, Weber State, took a chance on Dame. They saw potential in him, but even they had no idea what was going to happen next. When Damian Lillard enrolled at Weber State, almost no one knew his name. That would quickly change, because in his first year, Dame would win the Big Sky's Freshman of the Year and was soon recruited by several major programs. But Dame was loyal to the team that believed in him when no one else did. So he stayed at Weber State. Stayed to quiet all of the haters that said that a player from the Big Sky could never be a lottery pick. Every day he went into the gym and grinded. Worked so hard that his coaches were in awe. As Weber State coach Randy Ray puts it, the thing about Damian is that he's obsessed with improving his weaknesses. Every year he would be in the gym and work on what his weaknesses were. He never thinks he's good enough. It drives him crazy. And with that type of dedication, with that type of work ethic, Damian Lillard soon blew up as an NBA prospect. By the time he was in his 4th season in college, he averaged almost 25 points per game, was an All-American, was Big Sky Player of the Year, and most importantly, was the top-ranked point guard in the NBA draft. And as we all know, in the 2012 NBA draft, Damian Lillard was the 6th pick by the Portland Trailblazers. Finally, after being doubted as a high school recruit and as a college player, somebody believed in Dame. Unfortunately though, even though he's grown into an NBA All-Star, there are some people that have continued to doubt him. After the NBA draft, Dame made a decision to wear the number 0. This number represents his journey, because instead of a 0 on his jersey, Dame sees the letter O, as in an O for Oakland, where it all began, as in an O for Ogden, Utah, where he grew into a star at Weber State, as in an O for Portland, Oregon, where he would work to solidify his place among the NBA's brightest stars. And from the second he took the court as an NBA player, Dame was exactly that, a star. In his first season, he was the NBA's Rookie of the Year. By his second season, he was already an NBA All-Star. And in his third season, he was an All-Star again and was seen as one of the NBA's best young players. But somehow, after that third season, the accolades began to disappear. In the 2016 and 2017 seasons, despite averaging a combined 26 points and 6.3 assists per game while leading his team to the playoffs both years, Dame has not been named an All-Star again. And yes, you can point to the incredible talent in the West as the reason for why he's been snubbed, but is that really a good excuse? Dame certainly doesn't think so. That excuse just means that the voters think that other guards are better than him. And if there's one person that has never doubted in Damian Lillard's abilities, it's Damian Lillard. In several interviews, Dame has said that he thinks he belongs as an all-star, and trust me, these all-star snubs have gotten to him. He takes this stuff personally. We know this because in 2016, after he was left off the all-star team, he took the court with a look in his eye that said he was out for blood. He then proceeded to put up 51 points on the eventual 73-win Golden State Warriors and the eventual NBA MVP Steph Curry, and made it clear that he was very much an all-star level player in a blowout Trailblazers win. And so, if I was a betting man, I would bet heavy money that Damian Lillard is about to tear up the NBA in the next few years. Remember, the man just turned 27 this July. He's about to enter only his 6th season of his NBA career. It's obvious that he has not yet hit his ultimate prime. And so, we know Dame is going to remember these last 2 seasons. We know he's going to use the memories of not being an all-star as fuel to get even better, which is why I have absolutely no doubt that Damian Lillard is going to be an all-star next season. The thing is though, that's not his ultimate goal. Yeah, he wants to be recognized, but what he really wants is an NBA championship. And right now, with the roster he has, that doesn't really seem possible. But in the future, I think it might be. Because on top of being a tireless worker, on top of being an incredible basketball player, Damian Lillard is also one of the best leaders the NBA has ever seen. This is not an exaggeration. Day in and day out, Dame is the voice in the locker room motivating his teammates. He's a star in the NBA who will go out of his way to help a new rookie teammate move into his apartment. He sets up team workouts in the offseason. He gets everyone together for team dinners to build chemistry. Dame is the ultimate franchise player, someone who has defied the odds at every step to become an all-star and a true leader. He is a basketball player I would never bet against. And so guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got to say, I just think this story is insane. I mean, there was really a few seconds in Damian Lillard's life where he wasn't sure if he was going to live to see the next day. And I've got to say, I think that's probably been huge motivation for his life in general. He knows from personal experience that every day is not guaranteed and that you have to live life to the fullest. So that's what he does. So I definitely think there's a lesson in there. And I definitely think if you're new that you should subscribe to this channel. 1, because we have awesome transitions like that. And 2, because we make basketball content like this. We do NBA what ifs. We do NBA conspiracies. If you love basketball, I know you'll love this channel. I know you'll love to subscribe. And you can join the journey before we get to 1 million. We're almost there, guys. It's insane. And if you've been supporting the channel, if you already are a subscriber, just thank you so much. Seriously, that support means everything to me. And you're awesome. You know this, and I want you to have an awesome day. And guys, before we go, I just want to give a huge shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this video. Now, if you don't know, SeatGeek is an app that takes all of the best prices from around the internet and puts them all in one place for you to get the best deal. And the cool thing about SeatGeek is that they score every ticket from 1 to 100 based on how good that ticket's price is, which means you always know what the best deals are. And on top of that, the app also shows you the view from any ticket you might buy, which is sick because you can preview a seat before you buy it. So if you want the best seats for the best prices, go and download SeatGeek and make sure to use the promo code 2KMike for $20 off your first order.